Hello students, welcome to the B.B.A 5th semester business law session. In our previous class we had started about the bailment. So we have studied about the definition of the bailment. What is bailment? The meaning of the bailment, the important elements of the bailment and the types of the bailment. We had studied this, mainly the part. So today we will go to the another important topic you can expect in the examination. Write the rights and duties of bailor. The duties and the rights of the bailor in the bailment. Or another question maybe they may ask you here, explain the duties and the rights of the bailee. So about the bailor, this may be a 5 marks question from your examination. It can be asked for 5 marks. Here write the duties and rights of the bailor. It may be a 5 marks question from the examination. But whereas the duties and the rights of the bailee can be for 10 marks. So keeping that in view, here we should know these parties' respective duties and the rights available to these parties. So this is what we are going to discuss today, the duties and the rights of the bailor. So if this question comes in the examination, first 1 line or 2 line you mention who is a bailor in the bailment. So in the contract of bailment, the person who delivers the goods to another is called as a bailor. Who gives the goods to another is called as the bailor, and the person who receives it is known as the bailee. So the person delivering is called as the bailor. So what are the duties imposed on bailor when he delivers the goods? When he gives the goods to here another for some here purpose, on a condition that they will be returned back or disposed of. That is the next aspect. So but here you should know that when he delivers the goods, so there are certain duties that he has to here follow it or he has to adhere it. So what are those duties? The first one is the duty to disclose the known defects in the goods. So if here he is delivering the goods to someone else, he must here tell the other party that these are the defects in the goods. So remember, concealing the known defects is a fraud. Concealing the known defects. If you are aware about the defect, do here tell it when you deliver it. For example, this you do it in your day-to-day life. For example, your friend asks here your bike to go to the market. You say you can take it, but here drive slowly, the brakes are not urgent. You caution him. That's a defect in your mainly the goods you are giving there. So if there are any known defects, it is not that you should know each and every defect of the goods you are delivering. If you know the defect, do here reveal it to the person to whom you are here giving those goods. So duty to disclose the known defects in the goods. If you know it, here when you deliver the goods, you should mainly here relieve it. So you should reveal those defects. So that is the reason is that you should make the person aware that these are the drawbacks, these are the defects that are there in the goods that he is giving. So for that reason, here you should make that person. If you know it, you just here has to mention it. That is the first duty of the bailor. Second one is duty to bear expenses incurred by bailee under gratuitous bailment. Gratuitous bailment are those bailment which here nothing is expected in return. Nothing is expected in return there. So duty to bear the expenses incurred by bailee under gratuitous bailment. If the bailment is on gratuitous basis, you are not expecting anything in reward. So in that time, if the bailee incurs any expenses apart from the regular expenses, here if he incurs any other expenses, so those expenses here are to be made up by the bailor. It is his duty. So in the protection of those bailed goods, here he mainly for the thing that has to be, which has been delivered to him, mainly to safeguard it, he incurs certain expenses. So in that case, he has to here mainly reimburse it. So that reimbursement here he has to bear that expenses. Nothing here is mainly expected to each other there. Now for example, here A, he wants to go to abroad and he keeps his valuables with his friend B till he returns. So B, thinking it is a safe that he keeps those mainly valuables in the safe locker and he incurs certain expenses. So this is not mainly told by the bailor, but for the safe custody of the valuables, he has taken a locker and he has kept it in the locker for till he returns back. So that expenses what he has incurred has to be made up. So if it is under gratuitous bailment, so nothing is expected here. Neither bailey is demanding something nor here bailor is giving something here. But if here in the protection of the goods, bailey has incurred any expenses in gratuitous bailment, he has to here make up that loss. So that is the duty of the bailor. To bear the extraordinary expenses under non-gratuitous bailment. If it is a non-gratuitous bailment, so if any extraordinary expenses are incurred, here in the bailment, the bailee incurs certain extraordinary expenses. So in that case, here the bailor must see that to make up that loss, to see that the expenses here are paid. Extraordinary means at the time of bailment it may not be known there. It is after the bailment that extraordinary expenses may have it. It must be a non-gratuitous bailment. Only extraordinary expenses, if anything incurred. So at the time of the bailment that here mainly it will be not known. It may happen later after the bailment has taken place. In case of a non-gratuitous bailment, here the expenses has come, and if bailee here incur those expenses, here later it is the duty of the bailor to make up that here the expenses. That is here another duty there. Duty to make up loss caused to bailee because of a defective title of the bailor. So bailor, you know that he is a person who delivers the goods. Suppose if he is having a defective title, usually the owner or with the consent of the owner, his agent will be having the right to deliver the here goods. So if the bailor is having a defective title and without the knowledge, here the bailee has no knowledge of this, and here the bailor has delivered the goods, and when the true owner comes to know this, he mainly files a suit against the bailee and recover the compensation. So in that case, the bailor who was having the defective title here has to here reimburse, or here he has to make up that loss because of the defective title. Now just this can be more here when you take an example. Here A here delivers the goods to B. Actually this belongs to C. A delivers the goods here of C to B without the knowledge of C. So here we find B thinking that here A is the bailor and he has to receive the goods. C files a suit against B and recovers the loss. So in this case, here it is the duty of the A to make up the loss to B. Whatever loss has been caused to B, because it is a defective title. He knows that he doesn't have the title to the goods. In spite of that, he has delivered it. So that is a defective title of A there. So it is his duty to reimburse. That is to make up the loss caused to bailee because of defective title of the here bailor. This is another duty of the bailor. To indemnify any loss to bailee in case of premature gratuitous bailment. See, again remember we are taking it as a gratuitous bailment. Premature gratuitous bailment. So in this case, here if the bailor, here before specified time the bailment is ended, it must be gratuitous bailment. It must be gratuitous bailment, and because of that, here the bailee incurs any loss, then the bailor has to indemnify him. For example, X has given his car to Y for a function for 1 week, but after 3 days, here remember it is gratuitous, he mainly demands the car return after 3 days. So Y takes here the 3 days on hire the another car where he incurs the expenses. So it is the duty of X to here mainly make up that. It is a non-gratuitous, here the gratuitous bailment, and it is a premature there. So he has to indemnify Y there for the expenses he incurred for hiring another car there for the rest of the 3 days. So that is to indemnify any loss to bailee in case of premature gratuitous bailment. So these are the 5 important duties that are to be performed by the bailor in the contract of bailment. These are called as the duties of the bailor. So when there are duties to the bailor, naturally the party will be also given the rights. So there are 2 important rights of the bailor. There are 2 important rights which are vested in the bailor. So when the rights can be claimed, when here the bailee fails to perform his duty or he has failed in his duties. So in that circumstances, the bailor is entitled for certain here the rights. So what are those rights? The rights of the bailor. The rights of a right to sue the bailee to enforce the duties of the bailee. Suppose here the negligence is there from the bailee in preserving the goods and the loss is there. So he can bring a suit against the bailee for recovery there. So he can maintain a suit. The suit, here right to sue. Right to sue means to file a case against the bailee to enforce his duties. So where the bailee has failed to enforce his duties, here he can file a suit. Here, for example, here the negligence of the bailee, the goods delivered by bailor are damaged. So in these circumstances, by here made a suit, he can claim the damages for the loss there. So that suit can be maintained. So right to sue, it may be in any circumstances. In any circumstances, here whatever rights are there, right to sue the bailee to enforce the duties, where here the bailee has here failed in his duties to enforce the duties, here the bailor has the right to bring a suit. In the same way, right to claim the return of the goods. At any time he can claim the right. He has the right to claim the goods. He has the right to claim that goods. So here once the purpose is accomplished of the bailment, he has the right to claim the goods. The right to claim the goods. So once the purpose is over, for what purpose it is given, when it is accomplished, it is the right. So it is the duty of the bailee when the purpose is accomplished to give back the goods. But if the bailee has failed, here he has the right to here claim the goods, right to claim the return of the goods once the purpose is over or specified time is over. So bailment may be for specified time. So once that bailment is over, the specified time is over, he can claim back that the goods. So that we call it as a right to claim the return of the goods. So what we find is here bailor has got these rights and these are the duties of the bailee. So the duties of the bailee, here what we have seen is there are 5 duties and 2 important rights are there of the bailor. So this is here one question from your examination point of view, which is having 5 marks. It may be asked for 5 marks. They may ask you, write the duties and the rights of the bailor. 5 marks it may be asked. So first explain who is a bailor in the bailment. Then you give his duties. Then what are his rights you have to mention there. So this is one of the topic for your mainly the studies. And the next one we are going to study is of 10 marks, that is the duties and the rights of the bailee. That is what we are going to study in mainly the next here the class. Then we will be here studying about here the discharge of the bailment, or when the bailment comes to a just conclusion we will be studying. Then about the pledge we are going to discuss, and the last specific contract in module 3 we will be taking is agency. So these are the remaining in module 3 which I will be continuing here. Later module 4 is on sale of goods act, and module 5 those three small acts are there. So we can see that we can wind up the portions as per here. And remember, for your already I have sent here is the message module 1 and 2. The module 1 and 2 are there for your first internals which is going to commence here shortly from Monday or Tuesday it is going to commence. And here this what you have got about the business law. The business law question paper will be set up for 50 marks, and the questions will be asked on first module and second module. First module and second module question, that is general principles up to quasi contracts. Up to quasi contracts, quasi and the contingent contracts I will be discussing that. Specific contract part, third part, that is contract of from indemnity, it is not included. We are not taking that. The next topics will be there for your the second internals. So keep this in your mind. First two modules which we have completed will be for your mainly the first internals. So we will continue the duties and the rights of the bailee in the next class. Thank you.